I've got a tray of about 50 of these put together where you can see now it's kind of like reddish instead of being yellow, and that's the scab of where it healed over. So I'm going to take these and we're going to do half of them with no hormones on them, so it's just going to be water, and that's going to be our control. And then we'll do the other half of them dipped in rooting powder, and this week we are using an IBA based powder, so indole 3-butyric acid, which is a supplement that promotes rooting. So if we're doing the control, we don't need to dip yet, which means we're just going to go ahead and stick these. Now, if I go to just try to shove this into the dirt, you're going to end up with a little bit of resistance, right? Because you're trying to move something wimpy into something that's kind of sturdy. So you want to use your fancy tools and just kind of make yourself a nice little line and just kind of press it into the soil just as far as you can go. And then I'm going to kind of alternate, like stagger them so that I can fit more of them in there. Okay, just like that. If you have any damaged or broken ones, you can probably toss them and start with something else. And we're going to try to fit, I think we're going to try to fit 24 in each of these. That's a pretty good number for statistical significance later on to see whether we needed IBA or not to get to these to root. Making sure that they stay watered is going to be really important. There you go, and once you get in the rhythm, you can kind of just double and stick until we have all of this in. And if we end up needing a little bit more space, I can always slide one of these over because our jade isn't really going to need a lot of space when we do that. Okay, are you going to stand up there? You could probably make this a little bit deeper if your aloe fronds are much bigger than this. There we go. You know what? Yeah, so I'm going to just move this line over, and because we aren't going to need as much space for our jade, and I'm going to do a third row here so that we can do all three. There we go. And we're just going to get it in like this. And you guys should be doing all this work right now, but you're stuck at home, and so I'm doing it for you. But that's okay. If these take and you decide that you want one later on in the quarter and people say that it's okay for you to come out, these will be available for you to take home. And then maybe it will grow into your own massive aloe plant that you can wow your friends with and propagate too. Or your parents. Aloe plants make great gifts. And they're so wonderful for this, it's the post-apocalyptic plant that I added to this lecture, because we all know that aloe and vodka makes great hand sanitizer, right? Yes, we do. Okay, let's see. I can probably fit one more here. And let's do one more back here. I only have two more. Where can they go? That gets a little bit more soil. Push this one a little bit up. They don't really have to be very far apart at all, because we're probably going to transplant these as soon as we see that they're starting to make roots. So they really don't need to be that far apart. You can stack them pretty close. As you can see, even that one that we kind of broke the pups off of, that it came apart super easily, so it's not really an issue that they'll get super tangled and go into each other or anything like that. Okay, so there we go. This is one whole set of the control. Now I'm going to do the exact same thing, but I'm going to dip it in my rooting powder that I have. So and now we'll do the rooting powder set, and I'm going to slide that over because I already know I need more space. And very good. Now we're going to dip. And this one you definitely want to make sure that you're making the lines for, because when you dip this rooting powder in there, if you slide it through the soil, you're just going to knock all of that rooting powder off that you just put on there. And that totally defeats the purpose of using the rooting hormone. So you want to make sure that you're clearing the way and then putting the stuff in there. If you are doing this at home, you want to make sure that you're putting it into a different container than the one that you have your control in, because if you are using a control and a treatment in the same container, what's going to happen is when you water things, that water is going to move that hormone around, and then it's going to skew your results for what you would have with the non-treatment. So you want to make sure that you're using 2 separate containers that the water isn't going to mix or flow between. And we're just going to get through that there. There's a lot of different species of aloe, and you can see quite a few of them on campus. This is a really popular landscape plant for people because it looks really pretty in the wintertime. It gets a beautiful flower stalk on it. It's really easy to grow. It doesn't require any water once you have it in the ground. They can be a little frost sensitive, so if you live in a hardiness zone where you're going to get snow in particular, you'd probably want to keep it in a pot inside your house. But a lot of people keep them in pots inside their house. My grandmother totally had one, and every time we burn ourselves making cookies, she'd take off a leaf, and then she'd, you know, smear the goo on you, and then you would feel better. I don't know if it was the goo or the lollipop that she gave me afterwards. Probably both. And so, we're almost done with the aloe. And then you want to make sure that whenever you do your subsequent things, if you end up doing the snake plant and the jade, like I'm going to show you, that you keep them straight for which one your treatment was and which one your control was, so that we're not having that problem again with the IBA moving from one plant to another via that water flow. How am I going to fit these all in there? We'll put this one back there towards the back. Get a little more soil. There you go, buddy. Oh, here we got some space here. And we got some space here. Some of these are pretty big, I guess. And the aloe vera species, this one is Aloe zebrina. The actual aloe vera species has big fronds, so you probably, or leaves, so you probably wouldn't be able to just, you might want to use like a regular half tray instead of trying to cram all 3 experiments into one like this. But backfilling helps a little. There we go. One more. Where's it gonna go? Oh, I have space in the front. Okay, here we go. All right, so that is one whole thing of aloe. I'm gonna backfill just a little bit of soil so that I can have more soil in place for my next experiment. And I'll see you in the next video.